I think we can get started. We have several people here, so we'll respect the time of those who have joined us. Our goal is to make this as timely as possible, so we're going to get started. We're going to give Lina about 25 minutes to share, and then we'll give you about 15 or 20 so minutes to ask questions, share, contribute. Our goal is to always create a space where we can ask and talk. We're all dealing with different things, and so this is an opportunity. We have representation, if I'm seeing correctly, from Turkey, as well as the US. I don't know if there's any other countries represented here. Don't hesitate to let us know, but those two I am seeing. So my name is Peter Lombard. I am the founder here at Globe Guides. And in the midst of this pandemic, our primary client, which are you, our human resource professionals, have had a challenge, a monumental challenge to say the least. And so we've begun these roundtable sessions to be able to share experiences from professionals, and so that those of us who are leaders, because even though I'm not an HR professional per se, I'm still a people leader of my own team, that we can come to professionals like Lina and ask questions and, hey, what would you do in this situation, or that sort of thing. So I would like to present you to Lina. She has been in business for herself for 18 years in the telecom industry, and several years ago started developing herself in the leadership, specifically around culture and organizational happiness, and has now kind of created a parallel path for herself, in addition to her telecom business that she has with her husband. And so welcome, Lina. We'll give you the floor, and looking forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me here. Linda, thank you very much. I talked to Linda first a couple of weeks ago. I'm delighted to be here, excited to be here, and we're going to be talking briefly. I may make an introduction a little bit about what happened here and how it happened, and then we'll open the floor for questions. So let me just go ahead and share my screen just to give me some guidance. I don't want to miss on anything that I want to talk to you about. Can you see my screen now? Yes? Excellent. Yes. Excellent. So we're going to be talking out here today about happiness, home office, 700% growth, that I think sound very appealing to everybody that has a business or is running a business. And I want to share with you in this brief time one success story. So this is from one perspective, what happened to us, how did we make it happen, and particularly and most important, why we chose this path and what is in store for us. And I wish, to give you some points, to give you some tips that you can actually implement in your business right after we finish here. So needless to say, I always start all my conversations, because to me, this is a conversation, with this very important phrase that has marked my life, my personal and my professional life. And this, I believe that the quality of your life, of our life, is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves. Most of the time, we don't have time to ask the important questions, the really important questions, because we're running around doing all the urgent tasks that we usually do. It's only, I believe, most of the time through crisis that we stop, because we're made to stop, and then we ask the important questions that determine how we live our lives and determine how we get to the goals and how we accomplish our dreams. So you're gonna hear me asking a lot of questions. And to me, if you get to take one question with you that actually struck you as something to think about, and that begins with the momentum for you to change something, to improve something in your company, then my goal today is going to be met. A little bit about myself. It's almost 17, 18 years. I am, first of all, I am a business person, an entrepreneur. So everything that I'm going to be sharing with you is not out of theory, is not out of models and books, though I love them, is actually from my experience. I am a very curious person by nature, so I have done all the studies and the reading and my mentors and my books. But everything that I'm going to be sharing with you here is because I have done it. We have done it in our business. We have made tons of mistakes. We have learned a lot, some of them very costly lessons. And then I'm going to share with you what actually worked very, very well. In the process of these 17 years of doing a business, the past 2 years, I encounter myself with doing, I find myself asking again important questions. And then at that point, 2 years, almost 3 years, I ask myself, what's next? What's next for me? I love my company. I love what we've done. I love the journey that we've taken and the results that we have. And when you ask important questions like that, not necessarily knowing how, for me, it came in the version of, in the manner of 2 books. Believe me, it was not my intention to write books. It's not in my bucket list. It was not. But certain things happen that I'm gonna say they're not coincidences. I just opened myself for more growth. And then I ended up writing my first book, Secrets of the Zen Business Warrior. I wrote the second book a year later, Millionaire Business Culture, and that's precisely what we're going to be talking about here. I am also today the founder and CEO of an academy, Zen Business Warrior Academy. And in about a month from now, we're going to be launching a fantastic networking and online courses that is called Master's Tank. I am also the co-founder of our telecommunication company. And today we are a telecommunication company that provides our services for large corporations and small and medium-sized corporations, all the way from Florida to Argentina. That is how my life is now, but my life was not always like that. And it's important to me to go back a little bit so that you understand what brought me here. And at that moment, I am originally from Colombia. When 18 years ago, I was in Colombia. I worked in Colombia for about 10 years in 3 of the most, I'm gonna say, respectable, it's like big corporation in Colombia. I learned a lot from them. I learned all the fantastic things to learn from a company that has a very good business culture. And then I had a contrast in my last company when I was transferred to the United States to implement to open their subsidiary here. I ran into a lot of problems, I would say, that had to do with business culture. And at that moment, I thought there were problems. I thought it was the worst time of my life as an employee. But through that contrast, I learned what I didn't want ever to experience again. And most important, I learned that if I ever were to have my own business, I would never want to have a business culture or an environment to work where there was a lot of things that, to my perspectives, were not good. Like what? First of all, I was not enjoying my work anymore. There was too much pressure. There were too much, I'm gonna say, guilty feelings, complaining, pointing fingers, a lot of things that I look back now and I say, wow, I went through that, but that was the reason. Because of that and what I learned from that is what made me ask myself important questions and want more. At that moment, we had a business for about 7 years. I mean, I stayed with them for about a year or two here in the United States. And then at that moment, things were not very good. I left the company, and when I left the company, we then opened our own business. When we opened our own business, we were a very, very small company, very small. What would you call a garage company? And it was just my husband and I. We started very small and we started growing. For the first 7 years, we grew at a steady rate, very still small. We started hiring people, and then that's a new ball game. And then we started learning through mistakes and successes. But more or less around our 7th year, parallel to developing our business, we went into some real estate investment, because that's what we hear all the time. You shouldn't have all your eggs on the same basket. So we did everything that came through our business that we implemented, and we invested in real estate. It was a fantastic idea. It was a very bad timing. Just during the 2008, 2010, and then at that moment we lost everything. We lost all our properties, including our home. The only thing that was afloat was our business, but it was a very small business. And even though when you go into a business, you go in it with big dreams, it was just enough to give us a comfortable life. But when you work so hard, and at the moment that we lost everything, there came the most important questions that I have asked myself. And at that moment was, what do I want? What do I really want? I mean, I've been in 10 years as an employee in very good corporations in Colombia. I have my own cost company that is now working okay. I just lost all my properties. I am a good person. There's all these things that are going on. What do I want now? And that was 12 years ago. The answer came back to me in very simple terms. It is very easy to say it. It's not so easy to live it every single day. And the answer was, I want to be happy. And when you say that, then the following question, what follows is how and when? And then I realized, okay, I have my company, I work 8, 10, 12 hours a day sometimes. I want to be happy now, not just during the weekends, not just when I take vacations. And then I led to another thing. Okay, so it's here in this environment, it's with my companies, with my people. And then that happiness and that opening myself, and now we're talking personal purpose. And now we're talking personal purpose, and now we're talking company purpose. So now we're bending, I mean, we're fusing together, being happy, feeling good, having fun working, why not? With the purpose of the company that at the end of the day is to make money, is to grow. But then how do you fuse these three things together? My personal purpose, the company's purpose, and the bottom line of the business. Because if not, I would have created a foundation. So what happened there was I opened up myself to that, and I said, then books and things and resources started to arrive. And then I found out about delivering happiness at work. And delivering happiness, if you know, it's a concept that was developed by Zappos in the United States, a company that was later bought by Amazon for $1.2 billion. So when we talk happiness, and this was 12 years ago, we're talking also growth and productivity and purpose. And for those people that still think that happiness is such a flimsy concept, I'm going to show you what happened in numbers in our company. For the first 7 years, we were growing. We were having our vacations, our salaries, our bonuses, all the benefits and all. But when we started diving seriously into company culture of delivering happiness at work, this is what happened. We grew 700% in 2 years. So these are real numbers, real experiences. And the whole idea here was like, it was never like, I'm going to do this so that I can triple my business. No, I'm going to do this so that I can be happy, my people can be happy, can be satisfied, happy, content, motivated, all the adjectives that you can think about when it comes to having a fantastic work to work, a fantastic place to work at, came from this phrase that you read there, growing from within first. So we were not that attached to the metrics. Like, oh, I need to reduce the absenteeism, I need to reduce the turnaround, I need to increase the productivity. Though I believe, I believe that what you don't measure cannot be improved. When we started this was with the conviction that that's the vision that we wanted for our company. That was the purpose. And our purpose is expressed in three categories. One is we want to increase our personal development. We want to increase our professional development, and we want to increase our financial development. Those three metrics, and now we put them into metrics, are real in our company. That's part of our purpose. In that order: personal, professional, financial. I get questions from my customers, my clients, and myself, and from before I implemented this. And these questions, the usual questions before the COVID-19 is, how do I grow my business? How do I sell more? How do I find and retain A+ employees? How do I do that? I mean, it's all very nice and dandy what you talk about, but how do you actually do this? How do I find individuals that are really committed and excel at what they do? You know, how do I make them feel inspired versus motivated? Inspiration is from within, motivation is from outside. The combination of those two is the key. But motivation all alone is just outside stimuli. How do an absenteeism? They would keep telling me, how do you do this? These were the real questions then. And then another one, you know, how do we make more fun? How do we have more fun at work and still produce the results that we're looking for? And my question, my answer, part of my answer is, we don't really lose motivation. For those that are always looking to have people motivated, we do not lose motivation. What we lose is the emotional connection to what we do. That's what is lost in the way. That's why some business owners sometimes after years are like, I'm tired. That's why some employees after some years, because of the content or whatever, they sort of lose motivation. They just lost the emotional connection to what they do, and what the company does. It doesn't mean much to them anymore. So that's one of the key points there. Why? Because at the end of the day, unless you have a foundation for nonprofit, a business has to be a well-greased machine. So this is what we need to build, a well-greased machine that has different parts so that the business can have 3 different aspects all the time. It has to be repeatable so we can grow. It has to be scalable, and it has to be sustainable. And sustainability is not just in terms of money or financial, it's in terms of emotions for the CEO or for the business owner or for the heads or everybody, emotionally sustainable, so that we can grow in the good times, of course, and celebrate, but most importantly, so that we can thrive and we can overcome challenges like what we're experiencing now. And the only way to create this is with a team of people that are committed to the same purpose. I'm not saying nothing new, but this one thing is to say it, and another thing is to do it. That's the difference between what you really know in life. Is not, you know it because you read it, or you know it because you hear it, or you know it because you understand it. You really know it because you live it on a day-to-day. That's one of the most important lessons I learned from a very, very, very close mentor to me. So it's like, you know, I used to say like, oh, I know that. And he says, forget the I know that closes your mind to your new learning, and puts you in the place where you know it, you really know it, or you actually live it. Anyway, business culture is the way to build, you know, to build this machine, to build the business culture, to build the machine, to build the business in the short, medium, and long run. It is, in my perception, the way to make it sustainable. And if you are an HR person now, and I know most of you are, or if you are a business owner, I'm going to invite you to take a look at this perspective. How do we define happiness in our company? One word, one strategy. And I'm going to say it again, one. Why? Because I know sometimes in being in the positions of being the head of the HR department, sometimes we feel this need and pressure to always be doing new things, innovation. How can we not? I mean, that's what we're hired to do. We need to keep up to, you know, to whatever is going on. But what happens when you innovate every single year with a different strategy? Now we're going to talk about leadership. Tomorrow we're going to talk about happiness. The day after tomorrow we're going to talk about a different set of skills or motivation, or, you know, and that is all fine. But the thing is that I would suggest that we cover that with one strategy under one umbrella. And in our definition, there are many definitions, but our definition of happiness is progress. And progress, whether it's real or perceived, it's a very powerful tool in a company. And what do you do when it comes to progress? Well, what do you mean real? And what do you mean perceive? Real progress is when you have a salary increase, when you have when they promote you. Those are like real. There's a change. But you can also define a lot of strategies in the company that give you perceived progress. Like what? Very quick. Say you have a 10-15% increment, salary. One thing is to do it once a year, and another thing is to have that same cost, that same amount, maybe fraction into 4 months or 3 months. At the end of the year, what do? You give this, it's the same cost, but then the person receiving that perceives progress. There's many strategies like that. And then we go into crisis. Boom, the world changed. And we call this a crisis, and I love crisis because crises are the moments that make us stop and rethink what we do, rethink who our customers are, who should they be, rethink who our employees are. And a very tough question, who should they be? Who should they be? Do we have the right team? Do we not? Right? So that's what crisis does. It allows us to it gives us the space to ask the questions. And it's during crisis that we have quantic jumps of growth. So how does my company look in COVID-19 times? There is one word that permeates around everybody, and it's uncertainty. Everybody is uncertain. What's going to happen? Am I going to be fired? My business closed? My sales decrease? There's a lot of stress. There is a lot of fear. So what do I do now? And one thing that I want to leave here, one of the most important questions that you can please write it down, because this is determinant. If you answer these questions right now in this situation, chances are you will find the creative ways to retain employees and to do different of what you used to do before. And the question is, what problems, and in that wording, believe me, it's not my English translation, it's not what opportunities, no, it's what problems do I solve for my employees other than paying them a salary? This is putting yourself in their shoes, in their real needs. Are they at home because they have small children? Are they at home because they have a sick parent? Do they commute? Do they not commute? How long does it take them to commute? Many things that are going on now, and other things that they do. Are they studying? Is there a way that I can be flexible with their schedules? So what problems do you solve for your employees, for your team, other than paying them a salary? And now we're talking emotional salary. Another thing that we need to consider, working from home arrived to stay. And I say we've been in business 17 years, and during 17 years, and we have employees in 4 different countries, 13 different cities. From the very beginning, 17 years ago, we started home office. At the beginning, we started because there was an economical, a financial constraint. We didn't have the money to have offices. And then it became a powerful tool to retain employees and a much less expensive way to do business. So for the past 17 years, all of us, 100% work from home. And we are a full-blown business-to-business telecommunication consulting company, but we all work from home. And all this that I'm telling you about is from home. All this delivering happiness is from home. Why do I think this is arrived to stay? This new, for many people, arrived to stay? Because 2 things are happening. You will realize it's a lot less expensive to work from home. You don't have to pay offices and a lot of things. And for a lot of people, being forced to work from home, they may now realize that, you know what, I kind of like it. I like being here. I see my children earlier. I would turn one button, I turn on and off my office. I don't need to commute. I don't need to start the day raging because the person in front of me doesn't move at the speed that I'm moving. There's many things, good things to work from home. And then you need to find, of course, you need to find the strategies to be able to bind the people together and get to see them every now and then, like what Peter does. We do that. We do that. We do the retreats. That is the way we give our employees twice a year the experience to be together, to get to know each other, even if we talk every single day, and the experiences that bind us even more closer to each other. So working from home, the questions, are we ready? Are you ready? Because the only way to have a successful work from home is, number one, technology on the cloud. And Zoom is fantastic, but that's not technology. I mean, that's not the tool. Technology on the cloud to be able to give service to your clients and to be able to have a full, complete office for your employees if they're working from home, other than Zoom, much more than Zoom. And then the business culture. Technology doesn't work by itself. I mean, if you don't have the business culture where people actually, it's transparent whether they are in their house or they are in the office. And here is where you take a very close look at what to do to develop that business culture. I love this. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and again and expect different results. And now we're talking about capabilities, because that's what it is. We never take bad decisions thinking they are bad decisions. We just take them because that's from our perspective at the level of capability that we have at the moment. So since we're talking about capabilities, I want to thank you for being here, for listening up to now. And I want to give you a gift for you today at no cost. Here is the link to my second book. The link is zen.linabetancur.com/book2. This was very quick. There's a lot more things and more detail in the Millionaire Business Culture book that you can read and implement in your company. And hopefully that will inspire you and see that all this happiness talk is real, and it can really, really affect your bottom line and your happiness and your people happiness and your purpose and your people purpose. Thank you. I think we're opening the space for questions, please.
Yes, we're going to have some questions. This is an opportunity for you to ask what you would like, and I will start with a question that was shared in the chat. Can you clarify the power of focusing on happiness versus meaning, especially as tough times is part of life and business?
Can you clarify again?
Can you clarify the power of focusing on happiness versus meaning, especially as tough times is part of life and business?
Okay, I would say, to me, meaning, if I interpret that right, is purpose. So meaning is, why do I do what I do? What for do I do what I do? What's the meaning of what I do? And when it comes to happiness, at the end of the day, when you ask people whether they find the time to ask themselves or not, even if you ask somebody just out of the blues, what do you want? Most people would like, I don't know. No, really, tell me what you know. I like to be happier. I like to have, this and that. And say when people answer, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to have a house, I want $1 million. And you keep asking why do you want $1 million? What for? At the end of those line of questions is, there is a feeling that they want. They want to be happier. They want to live a fuller life. They want to have more meaningful life. They want to matter. So if we are able to translate the desires of each one of us as individuals and have our business as a vehicle that allows them to fulfill their desires in our company in those 8 hours a day that they live with us, then we're merging two things, especially now in difficult times. Especially now, when our employees find that we can talk about what's going on, that we understand what's going on in their personal lives, then there is something that goes beyond these are your functions, these are your tasks, this is the time that you need to work at. So I would say purpose in a company has to be merged with the purpose, call it the business owner, the employees, and the purpose of the company. It has to merge to give meaning, to allow us to have the gasoline to move forward whenever there are tough times like now. If there is no reason why, then we lose the motivation. And when I say motivation, we lose the emotional connection to what we do.
Thank you. Any other questions anyone would like to ask? This is your opportunity.
Hey, Lina, this is Lauren. This sort of plays off of what you were just speaking about, but at my company, I'm on the people team, and we have an amazing company, a really strong culture, a purpose-driven culture. Values are at the forefront. But this year has been exceptionally hard with the level of ambiguity, as you referenced, as well as racial conversations, which have been really good and healthy, but also just challenging. And I'd be interested, whether it be from Lina, you were speaking to this a little bit, or anyone else from the group, in this tough time, how do we bring joy and the happiness back to the forefront when we're seeing, like I'm seeing a dip in our engagement and overall happiness that used to be quite present?
Okay, I can tell you from my experience, 2016, in that beautiful graph that you saw, it was up to 2015-16. In 2015, at the height of our company success, we decided to diversify because our clients were asking for it. We tripled our payroll, and we did a lot of things because we thought we were ready for that. We lost our focus, our niche. We lost it. We were looking at other industries and it's the time to diversify. Let's look at cybersecurity. Let's look at IoT because that's the future. We need to be there. And it looked like very interesting. And we went that way, and we stopped really focusing on what we did well, where we were masters at. And we became beginners, amateurs in new industries. Our company took a very bad dip. We lost almost 60% of our sales, and never, ever before have we had such high turnover. Never. We lost our key players in the span of 2 years. Why? Because now we were doing things not in the right way, not the way as the masters of telco, what we used to do. We were not doing things. We had a lot of problems implementing the new technology because we're just learning. And then, so that became problems for our sales team. They lost clients. As they lost clients, they lost this commission. As they lost commission, they blamed their tech guy, because we work in teams, the sales with the tech guy. And then the tech guy started saying, I don't like this. I'm taking the blame. I'm overworking. And for 2 years, it was not at all what it had been before. Many people left. And it was very difficult for us to watch them go. And as our company plunged down, we couldn't even retain them with salaries because now we didn't have the money to pay them. So in their mind, they left because they were offered more money, but they would have never looked at the neighbor's company if they had been happy here. So what happened then? I'm going to say, before we talk about the icing of the cake of how do we make this a happier environment, which is nice to have the icing of the cake, we took a look at the cake, at our recipe, and we said, this is bad, really bad. And then we said, what are we doing? And that's the time that we said, who are our most important clients? Not only because we provide, not only because they are the ones that we have more revenues from, but because they really feel that we are the real partners. And then we realized, you know what? Our best companies, our best clients are not the hotshot companies that we have. In Colombia, top 50 companies are our clients. We realized that there was a very small segment of, not a small segment, there was a segment of a small, medium-sized companies that had a very specific need that we matched their need perfect. And we focused our portfolio, and it was very difficult to sell here to our VP of sales. You're not going to be selling to top 100 companies in Colombia. You're going to be selling to unknown companies that produce a lot of margin for us. And it was so difficult. We changed the recipe of our cake, We redefine our niche. We redefine our clients. And the question here is, who are your clients and who they need to be now? It took about a year, but then now, you know, when this started rolling, about February, just before the crisis. And then of course, now what do we experience? Progress in little things, progress. Now they feel like, oh, you know what? I went to visit a client and it didn't take me 6 months to close him. It took me 2 weeks. Why? Because our message is laser sharp focus to their needs. So we went back to that. We lost it. So little things that became that signify progress to them, guess what? They're happier. Are they commissions a lot larger? Some of them, yes, some not. But they now, their team sees little victories. And now it's like, oh my God, you know, in the middle of this crisis and we're thriving. We you know, and then you don't need to do all the little, the icing of the cake things that we do. You know, you change the recipe of your cake and you refocus, and then they see, oh wow, this is working. So if that helps, the question is, who's my client? Who's my niche? Who should it be now? Who should it be? Maybe that can help. That's my experience.
No, that's great. I love the refocus on the core and then the little victories. That's super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. All
Lina,
right.
I appreciate your time today. I appreciate every one of you who have joined us today, even those who have had to bounce off for calls, especially those because they made the time. So thank you so much. We appreciate you being part of this, and we look forward to the next opportunity we can talk.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you everybody for being here.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Lina, bye.